All right, coaches, I wanted to do another video about something that crossover really emphasizes, and that's Dean Oliver's 4 factors. These are 4 statistics that are the biggest indicators of whether a team wins or loses a game. Dean Oliver was a guy that did a huge statistical analysis of basketball games and determined that these 4 factors were the biggest ones that contribute to whether the team won or lost. The 4 factors are effective field goal percentage, turnover percentage, offensive rebound percentage, and free throw rate. Now, effective field goal percentage is a little bit different than regular field goal percentage. It is different because it factors in the idea that if a team shoots more threes, then their field goal percentage should be higher because it's worth more points. So, for instance, if a team shoots 40% from the floor, but all they shoot are 2-pointers, then a team that shoots 40% from the floor, but all they do is shoot 3-pointers, well, obviously the team that's shooting all the 3-pointers is going to be more productive and win the game. Even though they're both shooting the same field goal percentage, their effective field goal percentages are completely different because of the shots being threes instead of twos. So effective field goal percentage factors in those 3-pointers, and it's really a better statistic to look at to compare how well teams are shooting the ball and how many points they're scoring. So he figured that effective field goal percentage counts for about 40% of whether a team wins or loses the game. Obviously, that's the name of the game, put the ball in the hole. The team that does that better is usually the team that's going to win. So he figured that was about 40% of whether you win or lose. The next thing is turnover percentage, which is essentially how many turnovers you have compared to how many possessions you have. So the number of turnovers divided by the number of total possessions in the game. And he figured that this factors in about 25% of whether you win or lose a game. Offensive rebounding percentage is the number of offensive rebounds you get divided by the total rebounds between you and your opponent. So basically, how many chances do we have at an offensive rebound, and how often are we getting it? And he figured that's about 20% of whether you win or lose the game. And then free throw rate. It just compares how many free throws you're shooting to how many field goal attempts you have. So you figured that was about 15% of whether you win or lose your games. So as you can see down here are averages for each of these things, and sort of what is a good average. Crossover says that a good average for effective field goal percentage is about 45%. That's the average across high schools in the country. So really offensively, we should be looking to be above average and have about a 50% effective field goal percentage, which would give us 1 point per possession. If we can score 1 point for every possession, then we'll be, right now I think we're averaging about 69 possessions a game. So if we can score a point per possession, then we'll be scoring around 69 points a game, which is a pretty good total. Defensively, we should be trying to hold our opponents to a 40% effective field goal percentage or lower. So you can see right here how we're doing on these. We're a little bit above average on our effective field goal percentage, but our opponents are a little bit above average too. So we'd really like to lower that number down compared to what it is right now. Okay, now as far as turnover percentage, average turnover percentage in high schools is around 1 in every 4 possessions, or about 25%. So a typical high school team turns the ball over 25% of the time that they possess it. So offensively, our goal should be obviously to lower that and only turn it over 1 every 5 possessions, which still seems pretty high, but according to the numbers, that's going to give you a really good chance to win. That's only going to have you averaging, for us, about 14 turnovers a game, which is a pretty respectable number. Defensively, we should be trying to get our opponents to turn it over 30% of the time, especially if they're shooting a good field goal percentage. We really want to try to get them to turn it over. That's actually how we beat, who was it? Scott County. As you can see right here, Scott County, they had a very high effective field goal percentage. So they shot the ball really well and they possessed it, but we turned them over a ton. They had a really high turnover percentage. So that effective field goal percentage was kind of negated because they didn't have as many shooting opportunities because they were turning the ball over so much. So if you're letting the team shoot a high field goal percentage, you better be turning them over a bunch. All right, so offensive rebounding, good average for offensive rebounding percentage is about 35%. You can get 35% of the rebounds. That's you're averaging about the average of a high school team. Offensively, your goal should really be to get 40% of the rebounds, considering the other team has position on you whenever you shoot. If you crash the glass, you can get 40% of your the rebounds. That's pretty good. And we're doing pretty good right now. We're averaging 41%, which is meeting our goal. Defensively, you should try to limit your opponent to only getting 30% of the offensive rebounds. Teams we're playing, they're averaging 34% right now on the offensive glass. All right, so free throw rate. A good average for free throw rate is roughly 35%. Also, so that's about the average in high schools. Offensively, you should be looking to have a free throw rate of 40% because we know shooting free throws is a higher percentage shot than most of your field goals. You're going to score more points shooting free throws consistently. And defensively, we want to limit teams to 30% free throw percentage. So we're about the average right now, a little bit below average in free throws, and our opponents are down at 33, which is not too bad. We'd like to lower that a little bit and raise ours a little bit on those. So the things if you look at this, our areas of strength right here are definitely offensive rebounding. We're doing really well on that, and we're also doing pretty well with turning over our opponent. That's the two big factors right now that are helping us win games, is turning over the opponent and rebounding offensively. The other things, we're right at average on those things. So if we can get those to be positives for us also, that's going to translate into a lot more wins. So appreciate you all watching. If you have any questions about it or anything, let me know. But these, I feel like, were something, if you didn't know about already, that would be helpful to understand the four biggest contributing statistics to winning and losing games.